people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano III, the ending to the trilogy. Let's talk about the fight. The entire bill, top to bottom, left us with a lot to reflect upon, more than we can hear in just one video, so we're going to spread it out. We're going to focus on the main event. How was Katie Taylor able to so easily beat the same Amanda Serrano who gave her hell for leather in their two first fights, in their two first initial meetings? What did she change, and what did she do differently? There was a quote from Katie Taylor ahead of the fight earlier this week where she said she wants to show more discipline and make it easier on herself, to which I thought, how could she do that? Make it easier. Move around. Box. Don't just sell out and trade with Amanda whenever she's within striking distance. Beat your feet. That's what she did. Except instead of letting a few rounds go by after several exchanges to move around, she started the fight that way. And normally we see Katie Taylor make an adjustment like this one after several rounds, whereas this time, that's how she started the fight, and that's how she ended the fight. Moving around, using the ring. She never let Amanda in. Contemplating on what Amanda Serrano's strategy was and where that went wrong, it seems like Amanda wanted to do a bit more punch picking this time, trying to set everything up off the jab, except the jab wasn't landing. And if the jab doesn't land, the backhand won't either. The jab is the range finder. And if the jab doesn't find her, the backhand won't either, even though Amanda Serrano tried for that punch many, many times. Sometimes it got in, a lot of times it didn't. That we can attribute to Katie Taylor staying on her feet, staying on her toes, the entirety of the fight, bouncing in and out of striking distance, landing right-hand counters, then getting out. Speed in those feet is still there, and the speed in those hands. Moments where Amanda Serrano seemingly had Katie Taylor cornered, she'd fight her way out of the corner by throwing flurries, by throwing quick combinations, as to fluster Amanda long enough to spin out of the corner, and it worked. Got her out of trouble. The rest of the time, Katie was very reserved with her output. She wasn't going hell for leather with Amanda like in the first two fights. She wasn't trying to. She was working off the jab and working off the counter. What won Katie this fight was her feet. It was movement. It was never letting Amanda set hers. As far as power punchers go, you don't want to stand in front of a power puncher and let them set their feet. Once they do, Katie Taylor loves a tear-up. I've known that about her from the moment she debuted, from the moment she went pro. There are times where she gets into exchanges where she really doesn't have to, because she's fast enough to manage the distance, get her punches out, then get out. But because she loves a tear-up, sometimes she makes things harder on herself than they need to be, like she did in the first Delphine Persoon fight, and like she did in the first two Serrano fights. So what she altered for this one was she didn't spend as much time in the pocket. She spent more time on her toes, managing the distance, and if Amanda Serrano has an Achilles heel, it is that. It's perpetual movement. Katie Taylor never stopped moving, so Amanda didn't get to set her feet. And what you can appreciate about Katie Taylor's brand of movement is she wasn't way out there in outer space. So far from Amanda Serrano, it's hardly a fight. She was just inside enough to get her punches off and just outside enough to get out safely, then hop back in whenever the opportunity presented itself. Perpetual motion is what won Katie Taylor the fight. 8-2 is the way that I saw it. 8-2 Katie Taylor, maybe 7-3 if you're generous. Heartbreak for Amanda Serrano. I really thought she was catching Katie Taylor at the right time, because Katie Taylor is some years older than Amanda. She's been in a lot of consecutive wars. The two wars with Chantel Cameron, then the war with Amanda in their rematch. So that by the time the third fight rolls around, I figure Katie's in her late 30s. She's got to be spent, and Amanda's catching her at the right time. And don't forget that Amanda was also the house fighter. So the deck was seemingly stacked against Katie Taylor, and she still found a way.
I am in awe of that exhibition of boxing, that display that Katie Taylor put on yesterday in New York, because she completely disarmed what was one of her most difficult opponents.
One of the most dangerous, a fighter who had already hurt her numerous times in their two initial meetings. This time, she couldn't get anything going, and it was because of Katie Taylor's strategy. She said she wanted to make things easier on herself, and she very much did.
Congratulations to her. What still is the undisputed super lightweight champion that now has a decision to make. Does she continue? Does she fight on?
She's got that option. The Katie Taylor that I saw yesterday looks to have 2, maybe even 3 more big fights in her.
Still one of the most sought-after fighters in the entire sport of women's boxing, so moving forward, she has options. And what about Amanda?
0-3 in the trilogy. I remember ahead of the fight, Amanda said that she would be moving back down to featherweight, which is her natural weight, where she still holds 2 alphabet titles.
She could do a unification match with Tiara Brown, or a unification with Nina Menka, become a 2-time undisputed champion at featherweight.
It's unfortunate, because I wanted Amanda to rack up at least 1 win in the trilogy, but alas, it was just not meant to be.
Katie's figured her out, and she has her number.
I think it started pretty slow. I think Katie won.
Okay.
You know, Katie's a champ. You got to beat the champ, right? You got to decisively. And it started off slow, like I said. But I said before the fight that Katie needed to use her footwork, move around the ring, land her shots, and move. So we definitely didn't see as many shots as we saw in the first fight. But I think the cleaner shots were landed by Katie. She was controlling the pace of the fight. Amanda was trying to walk her down, just couldn't get there. And, you know, it is what it is. So I think both of the ladies have so much to be proud of. They're both great warriors. And this was a big night for women's boxing. And hopefully it's just the beginning, and we won't have to be women anymore and just boxers, fighters, athletes. That's where I wanted to get.
You got to take the rough with the smooth. You have good nights and you have bad nights, and these nights are unforgettable nights that just couldn't be sweeter. You know, I'm so proud of Katie. I just begged her in the change room, just please box. You'll make this so easy for yourself. Just use your feet, use your speed, use your skill. And she made it really, really comfortable, really straightforward victory. One of her greatest performances of her career. I mean, obviously the first round or two, I didn't really have her losing that. Maybe was it the 3rd or the 4th, but other than that, and after 6 rounds, Serrano just looked deflated. She almost I know she's never going to give up, but she just couldn't get close to Katie. Katie wouldn't let her set her feet, and it was a masterclass. It was such an easy victory, really, and massive credit to Serrano. She's a massive. You know, she's a tremendous champion, MVP. Thank you for the opportunity. It was an amazing night, and this is the greatest female fighter of all time.
I suppose it's time to ask the question, what does Katie Taylor do now? If she doesn't retire, if she decides to fight on for 1 or 2 more fights, what fights make sense? Chantel Cameron almost immediately comes to mind because they're 1-1 with each other, and in many ways they have unfinished business. I feel like the Katie Taylor that I saw yesterday would beat the Chantel Cameron that I saw yesterday.
Chantel Cameron fought yesterday against Jessica Kamara. She won, and I said she would win, but she wasn't as physically imposing as I thought she would be. Not as devastating.
A Chantel Cameron trilogy is an option. A fight with Holly Holm.
Recent Hall of Fame inductee and 3-division champion Holly Holm, who has returned to boxing and means to become a champion again. Katie can have an all-Irish shootout with Holly Holm. The old generation versus the new one. She can do that. She can also fight Alicia Baumgartner, the current reigning undisputed super featherweight champion, who was also in action yesterday and in my opinion did not look her best. I think that those are the 3 best options for Katie Taylor if she decides to fight on. She might.
I personally would like to see her retire. I don't want her to stick around long enough that Father Time finally catches up. She proved me wrong yesterday, but none of us are getting any younger, and there is such a thing as wearing out your welcome. We'll see what Katie Taylor decides to do in the coming weeks and months.
Covering suspects bonding out of jail here for several years, I can tell you that this is a first for me because as Davis was walking out of the Turner Guilford Night Center, he had 3 corrections officers surrounding him, not really allowing reporters to get close to him to ask him questions. That said, I did ask those questions as to his allegations. He is accused of striking his ex-girlfriend, the mother of his children. I asked him about those charges. He refused to answer our questions. You are looking at the mugshot of professional and well-known boxer, 30-year-old Gervonta "Tank" Davis. He was arrested by Miami Beach police early this morning on a warrant for his arrest following an alleged incident that happened in June on Father's Day. In the arrest report we obtained, it states Davis arrived to pick up his children from his ex-girlfriend's Doral home and during that process struck her in the back of the head. An investigator said he then proceeded to slap her on the right side of the face, resulting in a minor laceration to the inner area of her lip. Police said the victim was treated at Baptist Hospital where officers responded, but Davis was nowhere to be found. 4 weeks later, and Miami Beach police would arrest him.
Hey, Devontae, what do you have to say about the charges against you?
Unfortunately, this is not the first time Davis had made headlines for his run-ins with the law involving domestic violence. I tried to speak with him back in 2022 as he bonded out of the Broward County Jail for allegedly hitting his ex-girlfriend outside of his Parkland home, causing injuries to her face.
Did you punch that woman in the face?
In 2020, he was seen on video grabbing his ex-girlfriend by the throat at a celebrity basketball game. While Davis is known for his fights in the ring, it is his fight with the law that he is facing off with once again. And because Davis just bonded out of the Eternal Guilford Night Center just moments ago, we are now planning on reaching out to Miami-Dade Corrections to find out if this is new protocol with their corrections officers as suspects bond out, or was this just preferential treatment? We will be shortly.
I heard from a little birdie. I heard Buddy home already. So for all you people that ain't like, you know what I'm saying, keep talking about something, oh y'all not fighting, this and that, woo de woo. He did him a quick little spa treatment and got the fuck up out of there, you hear me? So hey, I just want to let y'all know that the fight's still on. The fight's still scheduled to be August 16th.
Quite a bit to unpack there, where initially we all thought that the rematch with Lamont Roach was in jeopardy for a myriad of reasons, because of Eddie Hearn's recent candor that he's hearing Gervonta's going to fight Jake Paul next, not Lamont Roach, then news of this arrest, and what seems like a lack of promotion for the second fight, for the rematch.
There hasn't been a whole lot of promotion for that thing. I mean, Lamont Roach is saying that it's still going down August 16th, but it hasn't actually been officially announced
By the event coordinators, the location, when the tickets go on sale, none of it.
The 16th is about 5 weeks away, where ideally you need about 8 to promote a fight, to promote a show. This one hasn't even been officially announced, so some skepticism remains, at least for me.
Yeah, but you heard what Lamont said. He said it's still going down.
Well, that's what they're telling him, and that's what he's saying, but people say a lot of things. Ultimately, it's a story that only time can tell. Is the reason that this fight didn't get more of a push and more promotion because the PBC simply doesn't have the money to promote it. When you outsource one of your flagship fighters in unbeaten David Benavidez, newly crowned WBC light heavyweight champion, to one of Turkey El Sheikh's shows,
That's a statement. That says a lot.
what that communicates is that doing fights for David is more costly and more trouble than it's worth. So before you do that, you will rent him out to someone else. Let someone else pay him. Is the PBC facing a financial scarcity? Is that a sign? I think it is.
So when I think about that, and then I think about this rematch and the lack of promotion that it's gotten,
Maybe they just don't have the money to promote it. Or maybe, just maybe, in spite of what Lamont said, maybe it don't happen.
men's welterweight news, Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney trade words, and one more shove in New York. Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney managed to keep it relatively civil the second time around, at least until they once again met face-to-face. One day after their teams engaged in a physical altercation, the pair of unbeaten welterweights traded words during a press conference to confirm the Ring 4 Supercard. Norman versus Haney was one of 4 title fights announced for the November 22nd card in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The show is topped by the David Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde WBC light heavyweight title fight. Unbeaten lightweights Abdullah Mason and Sam Noakes will collide for the vacant WBO lightweight title. Opening the show, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, provided he defeats Fumalele Kafu in their fight next weekend, will face unbeaten champion Fernando Puma Martinez. In between all of that, the two young gunners, Devin Haney and Brian Norman, spoke their mind on why one will prevail over the other in a bout for Norman's WBO welterweight title. It's another shot for me to become a three-weight world champion, Haney said during his time on the mic. Brian Norman is just another guy. I've been at this level for a long time. Brian Norman is here for the first time. I'm here to show him that there's levels to this. I'm on a totally different level than him. I'm just happy for this opportunity. Haney's stellar resume is the clear reference to his repeated claims of Norman not being on his level. It only spoke to the reigning titleist's claim that he continues to be slept on, no matter how many challengers he continues to put to sleep. Obviously, not enough, because I still got some doubters out there, Norman said, of the amount of appreciation he felt as he's earned among his peers. I'm still showing y'all each and every day. That's what it is. People keep doubting me. They keep doubting me for my whole life.
At least Devin is.
I don't know anybody that he's fought, said a dismissive Devin Haney. I never heard. He's never knocked out anybody at the top. I know he's gonna say, oh well, you're gonna be the first one. Sounds good, we've heard this before, but he's never done this before at this level. I've been at this level for 7 or 8 years now. I know he's got power, we all know he's got power, but it's against guys we've never seen before. We never heard of these guys before. So I will show him that. Power is good, muscles are good, he's got muscles, but muscles don't win fights at this higher level. The best of the best, no matter how much muscle you've got, no matter how much power you've got, I will show him. The always calm and composed Brian Norman has grown accustomed to that claim. Everyone can do and say whatever, stated Norman, but actions speak louder than words. Come November, I'm ready to prove that. So one of the things I was taken aback by Brian Norman and Devin Haney's confrontation is how much bigger Devin looked than Brian Norman, even though he's the fighter that's supposed to be moving up. And I don't consider that a good thing, that walking around, Devin looks noticeably bigger, heavier than Brian. So basically, your camp is going to be a fat camp, where the focus is just making weight.
That's going to be a big part of it.
And that even though he's bigger than Brian Norman, that size doesn't seem to translate into strength and punching power. As we all know, Devin Haney is not a knockout merchant. He hasn't knocked anybody out in years.
He's doing a whole tough guy act, getting in Brian Norman's face and saying this and that, so that when the opening bell sounds, all he's gonna do is play keep away. All he's gonna do is try to put distance between himself and the guy whose face he wants to get in. I find that nauseating.
Talking all that shit to reduce the sport of boxing to a game of freeze tag, if you had to be ever so careful with a shot to shit Jose Ramirez, who's slow on his feet with slow hands, why are you pretending you're gonna sit in the pocket with Brian? Why are you pretending you're gonna take it to this guy? When you get in his face the way that you do, that's the energy you're giving off. But that's not what you're gonna do on fight night, so spare me.
I think the sport of boxing would be a lot better off if Brian Norman goes in there and does to Devin what he did to Jin Suzuki. But because Devin is a very different fighter to Jin Suzuki,
A runner.
it's not a foregone conclusion that he does. I'm rooting for him, and I hope it happens.
But things can look one way on paper and play out entirely differently in real time.
So we'll see what happens when the time comes.